What's up, guys? Welcome to Star Wars Timeline. Today I'd like to talk about Star Wars Visions and what's exactly the type of content that the franchise needs today, in my opinion. Now, this is not a review video, guys. For those of you who watch my channel, you have probably noticed that I'm not posting episode reviews because I wanted to take my time with it, honestly. I felt a little bit oversaturated with too much Star Wars content, and I said to myself, you know what, let me absorb this show, think on it for a moment, and then give you guys my thoughts on it. So I'm currently 6 episodes in, and I just wanted to talk about it, how it shifts my opinion on where Star Wars is today. You know, there's obviously a couple of episodes that I like over the others, but in general, what contribution Star Wars Visions is making for the Star Wars saga. And before we start talking about it and making comparisons, first let's ask the question, what is Star Wars? You know, for some people, it's that romanticized fantasy in space, you know, with spaceships and beautiful lightsabers and heroic figures. It's that. For other people, it's the heroic motif, you know, the hero's journey, the classical Greek mythology archetypes that George Lucas put into the saga. For other people, it's just plenty of action. They want adventuring, they want to go to different planets, you know, experience different alien life forms. And so when you ask the question, what exactly is Star Wars, and particularly what makes it so special to fans, well, my answer personally would be it's all of those things and combinations of them. Because, you know, as fans, as people, we're so different. We come from different walks of life. We have different perception on life in general, or our tastes on literature and music and so forth. Not everybody is alike. You know, we look at the same movie, and me and my friend next to me could take a look and see it and identify different things that appeal to us. Just to give you an example, I decided to watch Star Wars Visions with my younger brother. We're 6 years apart. You know, he's 34, I'm 40, and we basically grew up together on Star Wars. And as we were watching it here in my room, we had vastly different opinions on pretty much every single episode except the two. And I said, gee, what a wonderful thing. Let me make a podcast about this. And, you know, the feeling and the impression that these first 6 episodes that I'm watching, that they left on me. And I gotta say, what seems to be the premise of the show, what Visions is set up to do, is to upset the formula, is to pushes the boundary, you know, and explore the possibilities, what Star Wars can be. You know, because I don't believe that you can put Star Wars in a box, you know, write, you know, bullet points. What makes Star Wars? Is it the droids? Remember, George Lucas used to say that it's essential. You gotta have droids and you gotta have comedic relief in your Star Wars. That's very true. You know, I can't also imagine a Star Wars without lightsabers. Maybe that's also a mainstay, a visual iconography of the series that absolutely must be in each and every movie or show. Perhaps. But the point is, it's a permutation of different things, and I don't think there's one particular way to identify it. So what Star Wars Visions is doing for me personally, it's pushing those boundaries. It's not afraid to ask the questions, hey, what if we do this? Are people going to like it? Are they still going to call it Star Wars? Or people going to say, well, you know, that's maybe not for me, but I will like this episode. I will like the visuals over here. And what if you guys combine the two together? Maybe we'll create something different that perhaps is Star Wars, but in a very different way. If this is something that the show is set out to do, at least that's a signal that I got from it, that I think it's succeeding very, very well. I think when Mark Hamill said, you know, when we created the original saga, we caught the lightning in the bottle. You know, you can't say when you're making a movie or a piece of music that it will automatically will become classic. Something happens, you know, it's the audience's interaction with it. It's the particular historic moment in history when this picture comes out. Maybe something is going on historically with a nation, or there's a huge economic or political upheaval. Something affects entertainment in a way that we connect with it, and it becomes a mainstay. Like, there's a reason why they call Star Wars, the original film, Episode 4, the jewel of American filmmaking. I think it's not just the content of the film itself, but how people interact with it, how they absorb it, and how they make it part of their daily lives. And I perfectly understand, you know, when I started watching these episodes, that some of them are really, really out there, even for me. And it's totally fine because I'm not going to be accepting everything and say, well, yes, I enjoy it because, it has the Star Wars logo on it. But I noticed the trend that some fans kind of resist to new ideas. And I'm not exempt from it, guys. There will be certain things that I look at and say, well, no, I don't like this. When I was looking at Star Wars prequels, there are a number of things that I didn't like. Others people do, and they say, well, you know what? I think it is part of Star Wars formula. And I do enjoy it. I want to see more politics, for example, in my Star Wars. And for me personally, it didn't work as much. But it's just my opinion. It's my own personal filter I put on, when I watch these movies. And I think that's the beauty of it. When a show such as Star Wars Vision is so bold and brave and is able to push the boundaries and explore new ideas, it will eventually cater to different audience, to different people. And I think it's wrong to try to prevent other people from enjoying something that you don't. Because, there's not one way. I'm pretty sure George Lucas, his own very specific ideas what Star Wars is. Remember when he's interviewed by James Cameron on James Cameron's Sci-Fi Show, George said, well, if I were to make Star Wars sequels, I would make them about midichlorians and the Whills, the guardians of the Force. That's what he would want to do. How can we say it's not Star Wars? There's many fans, myself included, who weren't the fans of the midichlorians and that kind of themes. Other fans do. So, once again, we're world different, and that's what Star Wars Visions is identifying. Those are the kind of buttons it's pushing in us, and it's asking the question, hey, maybe we can have a niche show over here that a specific set of fans will like. Or what if we do a Star Wars manga, like the High Republic manga that just came out? Maybe it will cater to this niche of fans. I don't believe that entertainment should try to please everybody, because in the end you will please no one, and honestly you'll have more people who are upset and say, well, you're trying to be too formulaic and too familiar, and let's try to explore and do something different, something new. So to talk about episodes specifically, when I saw the first episode, The Duel, which is pretty much a scene ripped straight from Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo movie from 1961. And when I saw the episode, The Village Bride, I felt that those were the most familiar. Yes, they're done in anime style, but they were kind of playing it safe in a sense that saying, let's give these familiar tropes, of this samurai type of kind of Jedi who gets between the bad guys and he's trying to protect the defenseless innocents. And in that sense, I think those two stand out visually, especially The Duel. It does something crazy. It looks like a manga, a Japanese comic book in motion, which I thought was so beautiful. It was undeniable. As an animator myself, I generally don't like 3D animation. I don't like cel-shaded graphics when a 3D picture is trying to emulate what the hand-drawn art style looked like. But it does it so successfully that I felt it's undeniable. I absolutely loved it on the visual front. And same goes with The Village Bride. It has that almost Miyazaki type of film. For those of you guys who have seen The Princess Mononoke, it gave me a lot of those vibes. So what those two episodes try to do is push the visuals and say hey guys, would you enjoy a Star Wars animated show that looks this way? I'm pretty sure even for its time when the Star Wars Clone Wars was coming out, if you guys remember, it also looked visually very distinct. It tried to do something different. For me, the characters in that show almost looked like puppets. I'm like, okay, it looks different from the rest of the CGI that's out there in the time. Let me explore it. Let me see what it's all about. And that's what the Star Wars Visions is doing, is trying to do different things visually. And it's trying to appeal to different fans and say hey guys, would you enjoy an anime type of show or show that looks like a movie manga? I personally enjoy it. I like it. Now there's two other episodes like Tatooine Rhapsody with a punk rock band and a TOB1, which kind of looks like Osamu Tezuka's Astro Boy. Those I felt were very whimsical. They're very fun. They're very explorative, and they go way outside the boundaries of what Star Wars is. And it's funny enough, my younger brother Joseph, when he was looking at it, he's like, man, I don't like those episodes. That's not Star Wars to me. That's crazy. And also the episode about the twins, when he saw them fighting atop of a Star Destroyer and there is no atmosphere out there and they're just duking it out there fighting. He said, what is this? And you see the lightsaber extending in size. Guys, I'll be honest with you. Episodes like Tatooine Rhapsody and TOB1 are not for me personally as well. But I can't say it's bad Star Wars or it's bad entertainment. It's not. I think it's brave on Disney's behalf, on Lucasfilm behalf, to gather these animated anime studios and tell them, hey guys, ball with it. Take the Star Wars idea and take it for a spin. Take it as far as you possibly can. Because I think the idea is not to reinvent Star Wars or to change it, but to reinvigorate it with new energy. And, I'm going to make this point later on towards a particular episode that from the Star Wars Visions. But I want to say that I celebrate episode like this one. You have a Star Wars themed episode that looks like Astro Boy, like it was made in 60s or something like that. As a Russian kid who grew up on a tradition of Soviet short animations that we used to constantly check on television. You had like puppeteer or claymation or hand-drawn animation or something that would have like a bunch of matches, and they would animate matches to kind of like give them a romanticized, humanized feelings and have like a commentary on war. We were visually struck with so much creativity and variety that to look at something at Star Wars Visions, it kind of tries to replicate it. It tries to check out different keynotes, like on a musical instrument, and then among them to find the right one. And that's the point I wanted to bring. When you have an experimental show like Star Wars Visions, and you come to an episode which was The Ninth Jedi, which completely blew me away. Out of the 9 episodes that I saw, I was like, whoa, now here we go. This is the crown on the jewel on the crown in this show. That's the one. That's what I enjoy. And I honestly wanted right away to get an entire show that has that writing style, that has that look, and that anime distinct flavor to it. Because to me, The Ninth Jedi represents Star Wars in a way that neither the prequels or the sequels have done. The prequels to me were just too much out there. They didn't connect with the original Star Wars in their core ideas, in their premise. And the sequels to me, as much as I enjoy them, I say that I'm a casual fan of those. I wasn't blown away by them, but like I like to throw them on and watch them. But they felt too contrived. If they felt like they were trying to plug different things, like the visuals, they were stressing that they're going to use animatronics and they're going to use the hero motifs. We're going to have like a female version of Luke Skywalker, the young female that also goes through, this hero's journey. Yes, all those things were there, and they're commendable, I think. They made a real effort to try to do something interesting. But in the end, to me, it just felt too contrived. It's like putting the pieces together. Have an amazing painting that somebody ripped up and thrown away the pieces, and somebody's trying to put it all back together again. And it just doesn't have that vibe. It doesn't have that special Star Wars magic. It feels too familiar, too boxed in, and too rigid. But Star Wars Vision, it's, in a sense, it's very George Lucas. When fans told him, oh, we want this, we want a particular Star Wars done this way, he would say, no, I'm going to go against the current. Oh, you expected me to do sequels in this way? No, if I would have done them, I would have done them about midichlorians, because that's something I enjoy. George Lucas is the film director. He comes from that school of thought that they never cater to fans. You have your own vision, and you have your own integrity as a storyteller, and you try to make a picture, a piece of entertainment, and throw it there on the wall and see if it sticks or not. But you do it because you want it. It's the kind of story that you want to tell. You don't try to assemble pieces of what fans are saying. Oh, we want Luke Skywalker. Please put him back in The Mandalorian. And Mandalorian is a show that another example I wanted to bring. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make, not to deviate from the subject too much, is Visions it's unshackled Star Wars. It tries to do things that nobody else would dare doing. Is it always successful? No. But once again, I want to reiterate the point. That's not the point. The point is not to dress up Star Wars in this and say like, well, you're going to enjoy this now because this is the kind of content you're going to get forever. No, it's a small show. It's only 18-minute episodes. They're pretty small. And I think what the possibilities are, if there's one specific episode that audience really connects with, and people are starting making memes or blogs about it or live podcasts, and there is a huge reaction, maybe fans will rally behind it, and Disney and Lucasfilm will say like, well, you know what, fans like it so much that I think we really, found something special. We found that lighting in the bottle that Mark Hamill said about the original trilogy. And they will probably extend that into a full show. Who knows? Maybe that will be the case. But I felt that the entire project was worth it if we get at least a single episode that's like The Ninth Jedi, which is such a beautiful take on Jedi Purge. And, you have these 9 gather, and then there's a really, really cool twist. I was like, oh my God, this is really cool. Plus, the action was really, really well done, and it felt very grounded. Usually when you have an anime, you have characters flying around, bouncing off the wall via, Dragon Ball Z style, and they're like overpowered and super crazy. Even the young girl and even like expert Jedi in this particular episode, they felt very grounded. I was like, wow, this is something I really like. And I really like the lore, and I really like the story that we didn't see that goes beyond the boundaries of this episode. It, asked so many questions that me as a viewer, I'm like, oh man, I hope there's more. I hope they do Visions Season 2, another anthology, and they have like The Ninth Jedi at Part 2. At least that, so we could explore a little bit more of that world. And another comparison I want to make, and, my opinion is that this is exactly the kind of experimentation that Star Wars needs, because I honestly wasn't a huge fan of The Mandalorian. It's a cool show, don't get me wrong, guys. I enjoy it on the visual front. I think visually it absolutely nails it. It has dope action, it has really cool special effects. You can't tell things are CGI in it. It feels so lifelike. They put so much time into costumes, the camera shots, the wide panoramic angles when you see different like alien worlds, or like frontier kind of like cantinas and the deserted places, or when they have the Jawa sandcrawler. It looks so lifelike. It's beautiful. There's great stuff to find in there. But once again, just like the sequels, I felt that the Mandalorian show, it felt very contrived. Let me explain myself. It felt like they were trying to identify different pieces. It's almost like writing a mathematical equation of what Star Wars equates to. Like, yeah, we're gonna have Mandalorians because we know fans like it. Yeah, we're gonna go back to Tatooine, and we're gonna have a bunch of bounty hunters in there, and then we're gonna introduce Ahsoka Tano. Yes, we're gonna give you Luke Skywalker because we know fans like it. And that's what. And I'm not criticizing Jon Favreau. I think him, Dave Filoni, Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams, they're all artists that are trying to find that golden moment, that thing which is, it's so elusive. Even I feel for George Lucas, because for me, when the creator himself made the Star Wars prequels, he didn't capture that magic. They didn't feel special to me. They felt very distracting. I'm like, well, I remember going to see them in theaters. I'm like, what is this? It doesn't feel like Star Wars to me. So, and you can sit all day and blame George Lucas or Rian Johnson, this or that, and say, well, they just don't know Star Wars. Well, I think it's very hard to figure out what makes it special. I think it takes daring, and it takes asking hard questions like Rian Johnson did, and trying to, upset the status quo. Did he succeed? That's a big question mark. I loved the movie, but I think it also has a lot of flaws as well, because he was trying to subvert expectations too much, and we didn't have that beautiful and warm and happy ending at the end, which I feel a myth in space is supposed to have. Anyway, I think it's very important to experiment and go through that transformational period that Star Wars is going in. And here comes along Star Wars Visions at the most opportune moment and say, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this kind of episode, we're going to do an episode that, takes Star Wars home in a way, because Star Wars was influenced by Japanese cinema. And we're going to have an episode which looks exactly like Yojimbo, Akira Kurosawa, a film director who influenced George Lucas to make his movies. Beautiful. Give me more. I want more stuff like this. I believe in order for Star Wars to become special and feel magical again, it needs to go through that transformational period. It needs to ask itself, how can we make content without looking over our shoulder and ask the question, how George would have done it? What do the fans like? What kind of, bells and whistles it needs to have in order to be called Star Wars? Is it the lightsabers? Is it the X-Wings? Is it Luke Skywalker? For example, my other good friend, William, who wasn't huge on the Star Wars sequels, me and him constantly are having these conversations about the Skywalker saga. And we both agree that, hey, you could tell so many more stories in that world outside of the Skywalker family. We both agreed that it doesn't revolve around Luke Skywalker. Yeah, it's cool to see him. Yes, he's the greatest hero cinematically that we had, but there's so much more you could tell with it. You know, I'm excited for the Ahsoka show. I think it would be interesting to see and explore, you know, even the familiar time period, like the fall of the Republic and, of course, the rise of the Empire, but from a perspective of somebody who's not connected to the Skywalker saga. So, you know, it's, you know, when you look and you scrutinize Star Wars in general, when you take all 9 films, you take all the shows, you take Star Wars Visions, you take all the novels, legends, and canons, it's different depending on what kind of fan you are. I used to read Star Wars Legends back in the 90s and early 2000s, and with a lot of books that didn't speak to me as Star Wars. They didn't connect with me. I'm like, okay, you know what? It's an interesting story. I'm glad I read this book, but it doesn't feel like Star Wars. Well, this one does it. Why? I honestly can't say. There's no specific one thing that makes it magical, that makes it special. And you know what? At the end, I'd like to say this. The reason that I haven't reviewed Visions yet, when you feel oversaturated with too much Star Wars, and perhaps that's the reason why it doesn't feel special anymore, take a break like I did and say, you know what? I'm going to watch it when I watch it. I'm not going to try to score points with YouTubers just to throw it on YouTube and have people come and check out my video and get 100+ likes. I'll see it while I see it. And I'll share my nothing but honest opinion on it. And that's how I honestly feel, guys. I feel that Visions, while not every episode is hand-tailored, hand-picked for me, it's doing something very special. It's doing something very, very important. It's revitalizing Star Wars. It's becoming creative again. It's becoming experimental again. This is what George Lucas said. He said, well, you know, I stole the saga because it's not fun anymore. When you try to be experimental and you try to do things differently, that's when fans criticize you and they start making demands and they're asking you to do this or do that. Visions, on the other hand, is going the completely opposite route, and I would personally argue it is the closest to what George Lucas era Star Wars ever was. It's the moment of experimentation. We're not always going to hit gold. We're not always going to have episodes which are wonderful, amazing. Yes, let's get more of it. But it's important to experiment. And that's what this podcast was all about. I just wanted to share those thoughts with you guys. And after I finish, obviously, I will go and I'll probably do episode by episode review because I have a lot of thoughts on each and every episode. And for somebody like myself who wasn't looking forward to it that much, I'm like, okay, I'll see it when I see it. I'm pleasantly surprised. There is a couple of episodes that literally blew my mind. I'm like, holy crap, this is great stuff. And I'm looking forward to what they're going to do next. And I'm actually very wary with the book of Boba Fett. I hope it's not going to be formulaic. I hope it's not going to be Mandalorian Part 2 where it's like, aha, you know, we caught something here that fans seem to respond to. If we got the right action, we got the right look. I want it to be experimental. I want it to be in your face, and I want it to be bold with fresh ideas. And hopefully the book of Boba Fett is going to be also enjoyable. Anyway, guys, for those of you who finished the Visions show, let me know in the comments below. What did you think of it? What are your favorite episodes? Why? Let's have a conversation and try to figure out what makes Star Wars special in general. I would love to hear your thoughts or your personal story of how you came about into Star Wars or how you're enjoying the Visions at the moment. Anyway, guys, this is my time. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy my podcasts, please subscribe, hit that bell button. Your support and your time really means a lot to me. I'm doing it for you guys, and I enjoy talking about Star Wars and sharing my ideas with you. I'll see you guys next time.